Hello, my name is Liam and I'm writing a book. I'm starting a campaign at Indiegogo, and to support that I've written an article and I would love to read that to you, so if you could indulge me for a few minutes, that'd be absolutely awesome, and I hope that I'll make you a little bit curious. Excuse me in advance if I don't hold eye contact. I'm gonna read it to you from the laptop in front of me. So yeah, just bear with me and have fun. Alright, here we go. The Fortunate Nomad. Half a year ago, I left a very prestigious job in Macau, China. I was one of only 100 scuba diving instructors worldwide who risked their lives for big underwater shows. I coached performers underwater, saved their lives whenever necessary, and took care of their physical as well as mental well-being every single day for years. Before that, I dedicated myself with heart and soul to every single position I held. A deep craving to belong somewhere in the world drove me all my life. Maybe that constituted one of the reasons why I became such a consummate workaholic. For 25 years I gave my entire life energy to my professions, went wherever they took me, offered my strong shoulder to all my students and co-workers. After Macau, the plan was to go straight into the next working adventure, since I had been offered a position as production manager for an events management company in Hong Kong. As soon as I started my new profession, all my instincts screamed, "Stop!" Everything felt wrong. My mind hadn't even finished processing my intense years at the show I worked at in Macau. I sat in my production management office, dragging myself through 6 weeks of wanting to give it a shot, struggled with projects for luxury brands that held no deeper meaning for the world. A voice in my head grew persistently louder with every passing day. It was time for meaning, and it was time for me to start writing that book that had been in my head for so many years. For over a decade this book brewed in my mind. I knew there were thousands of people out there with a book up their sleeve. Many of said books should have stayed up the proverbial sleeve and never dropped onto paper. Maybe I was just another deluded dreamer who hoped he had something to say. In my heart of hearts, however, I knew for many years that my story could change people's lives. My partner and I had just adopted 2 puppies and rented a flat on an idyllic, calm little island near Hong Kong. We had no savings to speak of. My partner had no job. Nevertheless, I needed to finally follow the voice that had started whispering to me so many years ago and was now at a pitch close to screaming. It was time to use all the energy, passion and heart that I unreservedly invested in the people and projects I associated with all these years and channel them entirely into writing my first book. I resigned and started writing in October this year. Actually, last year, since it's now 2014. It was October 2013. Since then, chapter after chapter tumbled onto my laptop's virtual paper. It is as if the rough draft exists almost entirely inside my head. All I need is the time to let the words flow. You might ask, what can you possibly have to say that is that interesting or special? We all have complex journeys. They're never easy, sometimes horrendous, sometimes comical, sometimes too painful to bear, and sometimes so amazing they take our breath away. We all battle on our own. There is no scale for suffering, or happiness for that matter. It is all a question of perspective. Suffering is in our minds and entirely subjective. What might be a ridiculous trifle for one person might be a complete disaster for someone else. We all fight our own demons. So I cannot rate my journey. All I can say is it is unique and spirited. I have met many people who after a story like mine would not be standing anymore. Maybe I can inspire some of them and let them know that life is breathtakingly beautiful, no matter how unbearable it gets. Maybe I can inspire others with different backgrounds as well and give them new perspectives. Imagine a 3-dimensionally homeless person. Homeless in his body, family and country. It is now at 42 years of age that I'm finally finding a home in all 3 dimensions. It is now that I'm mature enough to share my story with you. The dramatic moment of my conception was triggered by a disastrous accident at an intersection. One of the cars involved smashed into the wall of a young couple's love nest at the exact moment the lovers had their orgasm. My mother and unborn me started our nomadic existence. The lovers broke up, conservative parents barricaded their doors. Consequently, I was born, half Italian, a quarter French, and a quarter German, in a halfway house for prostitutes. After 5 months with my biological mother, a childless German couple adopted me. At a young age, I overcame a serious spastic in my legs as well as a heart defect. Through childhood and adolescence, I was a stranger in my own skin, uprooted and confused. Over the years, I discovered that I had been born in the wrong body. We don't just know these things. We know that something is fundamentally screwed up. Yet to be able to identify the problem, we need to be able to compare our state of mind, our life situation to others. It was a book, actually, that I read during a boring summer at work as a young woman that became the mirror I needed to understand that I was truly a man. In a sense, I had known all my life, yet there is a very important difference between knowing and understanding what it is that we know. I found my biological mother and sisters after a long search, only to step into a family drama involving the rape of my sisters by their father, as well as intense abuse and violence. I married twice, once to help unite my father with his gay lover, a second time to save my life. I had just gone through most of my gender change and lived in a foreign country when I was notified by the authorities that it was time to pack up and leave. I needed the home I had made for myself at the time to save my sanity. An amazingly good friend came to my aid and married me, allowing me to stay in my much-needed sanctuary. I could continue, but I don't want to spoil the suspense. These are just a few select highlights from a life much longer than its years. My book is not going to be another self-help book. It is not going to be the long lament of someone struggling through a chaotic life. My story is not another transsexual metamorphosis. Transsexualism is but one tiny aspect of a long life journey along the paths less traveled by. In essence, my memoir is a topsy-turvy journey of perseverance, courage, humor, and transcendence. The writing process halfway completed, I'm barricading myself in the cozy confines of our little island flat. I'm a lucky man to have a partner who is standing by me even though our outlook at the moment is far from reassuring at the moment. Behind every name on a book cover are the unsung heroes, the people who made it all possible by their faith in the author, their trust, their love and support. My memoir is an emotional journey, painfully honest, straight from the heart. It will make you laugh, it will make you cry, and hopefully, most of all, it will brighten your days with adventures spanning 2 bodies, 8 countries, 10 professions, countless challenges, not to mention countless comical encounters and developments along life's meandering rocky paths. We all know life is a challenge. I've been close to despair, I've thought of suicide, and I've struggled with the randomness of it all. In the end, however, I have always instinctively fought adversity by passionately meeting it head-on. Many years ago, I was stuck on a fishing boat during heavy seas. I felt sick as a dog. After a while of trying to find my equilibrium, I realized that the only way to overcome my seasickness was to climb all the way to the top of the boat, where the motion of the waves would be most violent. For the rest of the journey, I stood up on the roof of the boat, screaming into the wind, hanging onto the mast for dear life. My seasickness was gone, and I felt intensely alive and happy. Since that moment, whenever life shakes me to the core, I just climb higher, hold on for dear life, and scream into the wind with all the passion contained in my longing heart. So I hope this has given you a little bit of a sneak preview, and I hope that maybe you'll be one of my readers in a few months, and maybe, if you want to, have a look at Indiegogo at my campaign. Thanks very much for listening and giving me your time. All the best.